Then I just didn't play my 8th grade year, and then started back up my freshman year, and played until my junior year, and then I got hurt, and then came back this year. Yeah, of course, Connor Cornbreath definitely stands out when Iowa and everything. Got the kick with him my sophomore year. Yeah, it's probably the most memorable one. Probably the Fairmont senior game when they were #1 in the state, and we just came out and crushed them, and got to kick a field goal that game too. And that was pretty memorable. Well, I was pretty confident coming this season, senior season and everything. I thought we were pretty fast team, pretty talented, but no one really expected us to do this well, I don't think. You know, we had 2 hard weeks in a row, Fairmont Senior and Kaiser, and we did really well in both, so hopefully keep rolling. Well, I just feel like we've been so successful, which the whole program has been successful year in, year out, and just hoping to continue that success. Shout out to my parents getting me here.
Robert Marra, although most people I think from back then know me as Bobby, so only referred to as Robert by immediate family, at least back then. But I played 77, 78, and 79, graduated in 80. I played quarterback and safety. Started as a sophomore. We had didn't play much as a sophomore, was backup, and played JV, and started as a safety my junior year, and started both ways my senior year. Okay, of course, Coach Jameson, Wayne Jameson, what can you say about him? He's a legend, and taught you a lot of life lessons as you came to learn later on, I think, after you were out. Some things about him, I think they have to start with discipline. His teams were disciplined, always were. They were going to run the ball, punt and play defense. Let the other team make mistakes. You didn't fumble, you didn't make penalties. That's the way he coached, and that's the way he played. Organization, he was organized. I mean, everything was set out. He had the script, and you know, you guys, the players were, followed the script. You know, that was another, I guess, lesson that he taught. The other thing would be prepared. Preparation. His teams were always prepared. He did the film study. You watched some film with him, but he had the other team scouted and could tell you exactly what the plays were. And I will tell one quick story. When we played Grafton my senior year, they had a nose guard that was very, very quick. And as everybody that's watched Bridgeport football, and it still goes on today, people were yelling from the stands, hurry up and get the play in, hurry up and get the play in. Well, back then we didn't have a play clock, but we could sense that the clock was running down in our heads. And Coach Jameson would wait until the other team lined up on defense to see what defense they were in. And where guys were lining up, then he called play. Well, this kid was quick, but he could tell the way he lined up that he was going to go right or left, which way he was going to go. And Coach Jameson ran the opposite way. And we ended up beating him pretty bad because, while the kid was good, he never made any tackles because he took himself out of every play. So he taught us how to win. And what else can you say about him? I mean, he was a tremendous coach. Oh, well, obviously our senior year was tremendous. I won state AAA state championship in '79, so that was amazing. But we kind of had redemption that year in several ways because my sophomore year team went 9-1. We lost to Fairmont West at home. The place was packed. Both teams were highly ranked. Both teams were undefeated, and I think at that point in time they only took 4 teams into the playoffs. So we didn't make it. Fairmont West ended up second, and I think they lost to Beckley that year in the state championship game. That was the only game we lost, went 9-1. The following year, my junior year, we went 9-1 again in the regular season, but this time I think they did expand the playoffs that year to 8, and we finished and were able to make the playoffs. But once again, the one loss was to Fairmont West. Down at Fairmont West, at East West Stadium in the mud, lost 6-0 in double overtime, and back before turf was even thought of. But that was a memorable game, and then we ended up losing to Parkersburg that year, my junior year in the playoffs at Height Field, because at that time Bridgeport wasn't qualified to hold a AAA game at the field. So those were the only 3 losses those first 2 years. So my senior year, and honestly I would say I thought the teams my sophomore year and junior year probably were more talented and much larger and bigger in size. But our senior year, we came out and started winning games, and one thing led to another, and before we knew it, at the end of the year, we were 10-0, headed into the state champion or AAA playoffs with 8 teams in there. We beat Fairmont West. That was 28-0 my senior year. It's funny how you can remember these things, but you remember those. We did beat them, got that redemption back, and went into the playoffs. Beat Lincoln in the first round at Height Field. Then then we played Parkersburg in the mud at Height Field, and came back and beat them 7-6. That game was almost bigger than the championship game, because they were so good and so big, and they were the big school. We then went to Lately Field to play St. Albans in a championship game. Got to play on the turf at Lately, which was great. It was first time any of us had ever played on turf. We got to go to Old Mountaineer Field a couple of times during the week to practice on the turf there. So it was a thrill for all of us, and real exciting. We went on to beat St. Albans 20-7 in the cold, snowy conditions down there. But it was a big thrill, and memories that last a lifetime. Whenever I see some of the old guys that played with, be it Brad Minitry, Curdy Burner, those are some of the first topics that come up and that we chat about. Yes, I certainly do. Of course, my son is a sophomore at Bridgeport, so that makes it easy. I know the majority of the kids have, at this point, the kids that are in high school, I've coached them in most sports. It seems like coached a lot of youth sports over the years, baseball, football, and basketball. So a lot of these kids I've had or coached against. So I try to follow all the games that I can, and have tried to do that since I've moved back to the area. I think the tradition is obviously there. That part's the same. The principles are the same as far as what the team is focused on doing. Obviously, there've been a few changes in the game plans and the offense. Obviously, this year with running the pistol formation, and I think Josh has done a great job with utilizing the talent and the speed that he has. Watching that, you like to look back and think, gee, it'd be nice to have played in an offense like that and played on that turf and see what would have happened. But no, I think and tradition, I think, is the key word. After high school, I attended West Virginia Wesleyan College, played football there, and received a degree in accounting. I've been working for the past 30 years as an accountant, mostly in a manufacturing environment, in a CFO type position. I currently am working at Viking Pools, and I'm married to Diana Cole, who's also from Bridgeport. We're both actively involved in the city and the school system, and it's a great community to be a part of. I was briefly away in Atlanta for about 8 years, and but I've been back in this area in Bridgeport now for 20 years, and it's great to be back home, great to be back in this community with your family and friends, and there's no better place, in my opinion, to raise your children.
Gonna take